All right, this is a video for how to do a one sample t-test. So I'm in Minitab, I'm going to open up my OpEx data file, and I'm going to go to the one sample t mpj file. All right, so what this data shows us in column one is the amount of time it takes to process an invoice. It's labeled new process. We have here information about the historical process average. Historically, the processing time took 16.5. I'm assuming those are days. So the previous average, 16.5 days. We have a new process. And the question we have is whether or not the new process is different from the old process. We're doing a hypothesis test, a one sample t-test. So the null hypothesis would be there is no difference in the average time it takes to process invoices now versus the historical average. The alternate hypothesis would be there is a difference in the average time it takes to process versus the historical. So I'm going to go up to Stat, Basic Statistics, choose one sample T. All my data is in one column, so I'm going to leave that default alone. When I click into this box, it shows me that I've got I got two columns that have numbers in them, but C1 is labeled as the data for my new process. Now, if I want to compare the average, I want to perform that hypothesis test to see if the average time in the new process is different from the historical process. I have to check this box right here to turn on that hypothesis test. And then it asks me for the hypothesized mean. So I type in 16.5. So I got my new process data, all the details in the new process column. I'm performing a hypothesis test to compare the average of the new process against a hypothesized mean, the historical value of 16.5. Click on OK. All right, here are my results. So it gives me some statistical information, tells me I'm doing a one sample t-test looking at the new process. This descriptive statistics tells me I have 15 rows of data. The calculated mean is 14.982, has a standard deviation of 3.122. And it gives me the confidence interval around that average. It's a 95% confidence interval for the mu. That's the Greek symbol, the Greek letter mu, which stands for the sample average here. So that, actually it stands for the population average. Mu is the population average. So the confidence interval around that is 13.25 to 16.7. So Minitab is 95% confident based on this sample that the population, the long-term results of this process would have an average processing time between 13.253 and 16.7. So down here, it tells me what test I'm performing, or what I'm testing. So I'm testing the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis H sub O says that mu is equal to 16.5. That is, there is no difference between my new process average and the historical. And the alternate hypothesis is that mu is not equal to 16.5, that there is a difference. The critical statistic I want to look at is the p-value. My p-value is 0.081. That's higher than our default p-value threshold, what we call our alpha. Our alpha is 0.05. That's the number we're comparing against our output here. And 0.08 is high compared to our alpha, 0.05. The p is high. So what do? We keep the guy. We failed to reject the null hypothesis, and we conclude there is no difference between our new process's average processing time and the historical process. So it's a one sample t-test, allows you to compare the average of your data against a benchmark or goal or a historical value.